Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday, November 3rd, 2023. If we were listening to Welcome Back, Cotter, we'd be playing Welcome Back in the background. That's right. The show that you all have helped make successful. Kiwanis Connects. We are connected. We are back on the air with a whole new season number 2 coming upon us here starting today. And we've got a great show. Governor Val, not available today due to pre-existing commitments and stuff, but not to be outdone, not to be caught short. You know, she is so enamored with the way I look with this bald head and goatee. She said, you know what would be pretty fun today? Let's see who we can get to fill in for me and maybe kind of have like dueling errands, you know, kind of looking at each other. So if you think of the Blue Man Group here in Las Vegas, and I'm really stalling since John is turning on the lights now here in front of me. Oh, look at that. I look like a French fry right now. Anyway,
blue filter on it?
No blue filter. Thank you very much. So joining me today, a special guest fill-in host, because we have a great show. We always have great shows, but today's a very special show. First, let me welcome our special guest. He is none other than Mr. John Crawford. How are you, Mr. John?
Happy to be here with another good-looking dude.
That's right, dude. Tell you what. That's right. Can you? I need the inside volume turned up a little bit higher. Thank you, John. Welcome today. Appreciate it. Who's that? Maritza. She says, "Happy you're back. Thank you very much, Joe. Hello from Kansas. Thank you very much, Joe. We have not seen her yet connect, so not sure what's happening. All she needs to do is click the click button link. Actually, the link that's in the email that was sent. All right. So we got a lot going on today. First of all, John, since things have been cranking for the last couple of months, we have a new administrator, a new administration and all that stuff. How's things going on in the Kiwanis world out by you and Callie?
Well, I've been certainly busy. This is the time of year where we have all of our, club installations and that sort of thing, and that's starting to wind down. My wife was the Division 31 Lieutenant Governor last year, and she just wrapped up her last of the installations. So she's a little bit relieved to be done.
I'm sure.
But it never stops, because we're still working with our youth groups. We have the Big Key Club Fall Rally coming up in another week down at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So we're selling bus tickets. We're trying to raise money for that. We're trying to keep our membership up. So just because the term ends and you don't have a title anymore, the work never stops.
Oh, of course. Well, that's what I was just going to say. It's like what you just shared with us is like, it's another new year, same schedule, same growth, same goals and everything. So, well, that's good. So in a way, normalcy is good, but it's exciting that we have a new administrative year. We have a fresh start for this year to continue growing on the momentum that Governor Val had during last year. So we're excited to move forward. Now we're going to set the stage a little bit. We are waiting for our guest. She's not exactly connecting from around the corner. That's for sure. Our guest, that's right. It takes a while for the signal to come all the way across from Kenya, I think is what the problem is. But why don't you tell our audience who our guest is going to be today, John?
So our guest today is actually going to be the first lieutenant governor for Kiwanis in the history of Kenya. She lives in the nation of Kenya, East Africa. Her name is Grace Karanja. And Grace is just a phenomenal ambassador for Kiwanis in Africa and in the English-speaking nations of Africa.
Right.
And she and I first connected really during COVID when everybody was still sort of cooped up at home and we're in pandemic mode. And my club was meeting exclusively online via Zoom. Grace is somebody who reached out to me through social media. And she was serving as, I believe, a club president at the time. Her club is the first Kiwanis club in Kenya. And she needed some help to recruit members, to build up her club, to help with membership dues. And she found me online and found that I was, at the time, serving as lieutenant governor. And so she reached out to me for questions. And I'm happy to help anytime I have a chance to help out. Sure, I'm they don't have a lot of support over there when it's just one club in the whole nation of Kenya. They don't have district conventions. They don't have regional training conferences. They don't have all of these resources that we have for training. So she reached out to me online with some questions about, membership dues and that sort of thing. And she even logged into one of my club meetings. I'm in San Diego, and she's 10 hours ahead of us. but she logged into one of our club meetings via Zoom, and she saw how we do our club meetings online from California.
Well, that is absolutely cool. There you go. So at this time, without timing couldn't have been better. Yeah. Because without further ado, it is our absolute pleasure. Because for her right now, it would be equivalent to my bedtime if it was 9:00 p.m. Pacific. John, let's bring her in there. Let's bring her in. Here she is. Grace joins us all the way from Kenya. Good morning. Good evening, Grace.
Good evening from Kenya.
Wow.
Can you hear me?
You are absolutely perfect. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, please. I have goosebumps because John Crawford asked me before he went on the air if I'd ever had a guest in all my years of doing this from Kenya. And I said, no. I said, I'm lucky I get someone across the street sometimes. So the fact that you're able to join us 10 hours ahead, everybody in our chat room, Brad Boyd, who's a Kiwanis International trustee, is watching, sends hello to you. And we're absolutely honored to have you to share your story, which is not as happy a story as we'd like to share in our world about fellow Kiwanians, but with the Kiwanis International community as it is, this is the stage to talk about it, to get the support that you need. But be that as it may, thank you for joining us. And John was just kind of sharing a little bit background of how you guys connected. So John, why don't you continue getting to the end? We'll have Grace fill in about how she found Kiwanis.
Yeah, I mean, Grace is somebody that I just kind of, we just kind of connected online. And again, this happened during COVID. So, Kiwanians are reaching out to each other. We were looking for, ways to support each other during the pandemic. And I having some interclubs. One positive thing about the pandemic is that we discovered that distance no longer matters. You can have an interclub anywhere in the world. You can check in on a Kiwanis club literally on another continent. And so that's how Grace and I connected. She was able to attend one of our meetings from halfway around the world. She met with my club in California, and we were happy to have her. And people still talk about, remember that time we had the guest come in from Kenya?
So Grace, let's rewind the clock a little bit. John said that you connected with him via Facebook. So how did you get drawn to Kiwanis? How did you find Kiwanis International? How did you find that Kiwanis would be an organization that would be something, A, that fits you for what you want to do in your community, and B, now join our community overall? Talk about that.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, actually, I was going through that interview we had with John, and the last shot was, we hope to see her again, and here we are. So I used to do a lot of these charity works by myself and with my family. And there's this person from Zambia. He's also a Kiwanian. He told me, I see you do you help children and you do all these charity works single-handedly. I would suggest you join this great organization that does exactly what you do, and probably you get to meet people who have the same passion as you. And that's how he gave me the Kiwanis links, and I was able to log in and see what Kiwanians do. And I was out there online trying to connect with everyone who has a Kiwanis tag, and that's how I saw John and the rest. And I started to to connect with them via Messenger on Facebook, emails, and such. That's how I got to know about Kiwanis.
How long ago is that?
That's about 3 years ago.
Wow. So it's really recent. And listen, we talk about Kiwanis International, and that's really the key word. We always talk about how big we are. We're across the world and everything else. But this is an example where somebody that you talked to was familiar with Kiwanis, and they forwarded you to the direction of looking into what we do. The fact that you looked up what we do and you still joined us, that's an amazing thing. No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm only kidding. But I think that no matter how much people can discuss about Kiwanis International, that, in my opinion, is the perfect example of what makes Kiwanis so special as an international organization. So give us the name of your club so that John nor I mispronounce it the first time.
Yeah, my club is the Kiwanis Club of Kajiado. Just
Oh,
like you
John,
pronounce it, Kajiado.
okay, John, you got it right pre-show.
We were pretty close. Yes.
Well, it's these accents we have over here. You know what I'm saying? So the club was formed 3 years ago when you found it, or how quickly after?
Yeah, it was formed 3 years ago. We started at the end of the year 2020, October there, but we were chartered in October. So October of 2020. So it's exactly 3 years from now.
Wow. And of course, you hold a very unique distinction, which not many people can say. You are the first lieutenant governor in your area. No one can ever take that away from you. You're part of Kiwanis history.
Oh yeah, not only in my area, but in the entire African continent.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to overstate it. So how big is your club right now?
Um, it's big. We have over 28 members. We started with 20 members. Now we are 28.
Wonderful.
And
wonderful.
what makes it more unique is that half of the members are all medical practitioners. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm a medical practitioner, and I have all my colleagues in board.
Well, I didn't let you introduce yourself because we were so excited that we got you connected. That's why.
I just have to say my club also has 28 members, so there's another connection, Grace.
There you go.
Wow. That's
Right
awesome.
Listen, there are so many connections around Kiwanis International that whether you actually meet someone in person or not, or in this case, we're meeting online this way, I'm sure the first time the three of us have I've met John before. He's old hat in person. But we meet you in person the first time, it'll be like we've all been family for 100 years, that you have that gravitational pull with people.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I'd like to do. I want to take a quick break a little early, because when we come back, I want to talk about, we'll do this towards the end, but I want to start getting into your story. We have the PowerPoint presentation that was sent to us. So we're kind of go through that a little bit. I want to take as much time as we can to tell your story and also to garner as much support for you as we can during the show. Is that good?
It's fine. That's perfect.
All right, Mr. Crawford, Mr. Special Guest Co-host, you good with that?
Yeah, it's going to be a very emotional story, so please stay tuned.
Absolutely. Well said. And everybody in the chat room, thank you so very much for joining us. Call us on the other side of the break if you want to ask a question or chat, 702-992-3207. I'm monitoring the chat room. If you're watching on YouTube, send your comments there as well. John here in the studio can pick them up and show them to us. Thank you for watching. Grab a box of tissues, folks, because you're going to need it when we come back. You're watching Kiwanis Connects. We'll be right back.
The Granville Allied Gardens Kiwanis Club was founded in 1960. We provide service to Allied Gardens, Granville, San Carlos, Del Cerro, and surrounding communities of San Diego. Our support extends to the youth of our community by sponsoring programs at Hearst Elementary School K-Kids, Lewis Middle School's Builders Club, Patrick Henry High School's Key Club, and San Diego State University Circle K. Some of our favorite events and charities we support include the First Friday Concerts in the Park, Patriotic Holiday Flags on Waring Road, Meals on Wheels, Cub Scouts, and the Allied Gardens Little League. Join our club. We are looking for people who care about making a difference for our children, for our community, and for our world. For more information about our Kiwanis Club and becoming a member, please visit www.alliedgardenskiwanis.org.
The Kiwanis Club of Folsom Lake is a group of fun, passionate people from all different backgrounds and interests who are dedicated about making our community a better place for children. We have 3 fundraising events throughout the year which allow us to support an after-school program for disadvantaged kids, high school scholarships, sponsors Key Club in high schools, and supports the Kiwanis Family House, which builds a supportive, healing community around families who are impacted by medical emergencies. Come check us out by visiting our website, www.folsomlakekiwanis.org. All right, welcome back to Kiwanis Connects, the show that is truly worldwide. I'm in Las Vegas, John Crawford there in San Diego, and our dear guest, Grace, all the way out in Kenya. That's right. Not Kenya, New York, or Wisconsin. I don't know that there is a Kenya in the United States anywhere, but of course, Kenya in terms of on the other side of the globe. So this is truly an international show. Thank you for joining us.
Say that again.
Anyway, all right. So JPEG, if you would please bring up the slideshow and stop at slide number 2, please, for those who geographically are just not familiar with where Kenya is. So we have the map brought up.
Africa.
Well, there you go. That map just proves it. Thank you. So for the world that doesn't know, can you give a little background, Grace, on Kenya itself, historical, how long, all that sort of stuff?
Kenya. He said Kenya is a pride of.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Our first hiccup.
Africa. That's what we say.
Okay, you're good. You're good. You
I
froze for a
think we
moment.
have her.
Yep.
Okay. So I was saying that Kenya is a country that is in Africa, and most specifically in East Africa. East Africa is made up of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Congo. So Kajiado, which is a town in Kenya, is found in the southern part of Kenya. That is about 55 miles from the capital city of Kenya, which is Nairobi. And Kajiado is a town also that is about 55 to 60 miles from the Kenya-Tanzania border. So Kajiado is where we founded our Kiwanis club. And like I said, it's a town just next to the capital city.
Wow. And based on the map, you're real close to the equator, too. Jeez.
Yeah, we are close to the equator.
So, yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure how much of your story you can comfortably share in terms of how much flexibility you have to share about what went on. So as far as the storytelling is concerned, let's go to the next slide. And if you would, Grace, let's talk about what we're seeing here and kind of some background on why we're seeing what we're seeing on the screen.
Okay, yeah, that's a house being demolished. That's an excavator. And yes, this happened about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And
Okay.
Take all the time you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is just one of the houses that were being demolished. And I am directly affected. So it's going to be difficult to go through it. And
okay. Well, John and I will guide you. Don't worry about it. We got your back. So
thank you.
I just want to, folks, you probably can read the slide as well. The land that the house was on was owned by a concrete corporation. Is that correct, Grace?
Yeah.
Okay.
A cement company.
Gotcha. Now, the house you were in, did you own that? Was that rented? How does that work there how did that work for you?
I owned the house.
Okay. You owned the physical structure, but the land underneath was owned by somebody else.
No, you buy the land and then you build.
Okay.
So we owned the land and we built that house.
Okay. So I guess in the last paragraph, what it talks about is the property ownership, i.e. the concrete company. They decided to repurpose the land for something else. So I know, here in the States, and John, I'm going to say Crawford versus John here in the studio, so I don't confuse everybody. And so I mean, no disrespect, John Crawford, just by calling you Crawford.
That's fine.
Here in the States, if an owner of a land wants to do something else with it, there's notifications, there's zoning, there's all sorts of stuff that has to happen, right?
Yeah.
So dare I ask how much notice you received? And I asked that question sort of tongue in cheek, that this was going to happen, that they were going to repurpose the land?
Unfortunately, there was no notice offered to all the people living on that land.
So no notice. You just came home from work one day and there is the construction crane tearing down 500 buildings, including your home.
Yeah, it was okay. There were rumors all around that houses are being demolished, but it had not really reached to my area. So I thought maybe something else is happening on the other side, only to realize that I was gonna be caught up in the same scenario. So the next morning, I'm being we seeing the police officers around telling us to get our belongings outside the houses, so that we don't have our household items being destroyed in the process. So it was as fast as that, no notification, and we just had to find way to remove our items before the excavators comes in.
Hey, Grace, Grace,
Yeah,
could you tell us about your family? Who lives with you there, please?
I was living with my children and my house help.
How many children? How old are they?
Yeah, great question.
2, a boy and a girl, 10 years, and a girl, 5 years.
Wow.
So we're talking
Yeah,
about really
and
critical ages in terms of their schooling.
yeah, and the good thing about that is that the president had the past president, Bart West, had actually visited the same house, and we had a cup of Kenyan tea together.
So how long did you live in that house?
I've lived there for now 9 months.
Oh, so you were relatively new. So was the house that new as well? Or was the
It
house?
was new. It
Got
was very new.
Wow. So it was a brand new home, brand new community, basically. And 9 months later, the landowner said, let's change it up and mess around with stuff.
Yeah, but the land we bought the land 2 years ago. So the land just been lying there, then we built later.
Gotcha. Wow. And of course, folks can see in the second paragraph there that not only the homes, but more importantly, the children's school was also part of the demolition.
Yeah, there were schools and churches that were demolished too, and my kids' school too got demolished. They were schooling there, and it was so unfortunate because this is the term, or rather the semester in Kenya, where children get to sit for their national exams to move to the next class. So because of that, they were not able to sit for the exams, and that means next year, the first term of the school, they have to repeat the same class unless we have a school that will understand and give them the paper to sit.
So what is happening now, not only for your children for continuing education, but what about all the other families and stuff? How is that going on for their education, or trying to even continue it in any way, shape, or form?
That is the saddest part, because I don't understand why, it's sad that our leaders wouldn't consider the education of the children. So many children have been affected, and that means most of these children have been taken a year back. If they were supposed to graduate at this age, then they have been taken a year back. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So again, what I didn't mention is that most of the people who are living in that land were 40% actually are Congolese. They are not Kenyans. We have these people from Congo who ran to Kenya for refuge after the war that's been happening in Congo. So they came to Kenya and they found a land that was being sold. They bought the land and they sat in there. So you can imagine a foreigner in a foreign country having their house being destroyed, and they have nowhere to go. So they went back to the refugee camps.
Question came up in the chat. I'm sorry. Question came up in our chat room from the current lieutenant governor here in Southern Nevada, Maritza Chevelle. She asks, how many other families and children were affected by this in that whole area? Do you know, roughly?
Over 100.
Wow. That's 100 too many. I mean, sheesh.
Yeah, a lot of them. Others are still moving out because the demolition are still going on.
John, can you scroll to the next screen, please? Yeah. This is just another picture now in an evening of the same scene area. Now, the QR code that is visible on the screen, is that to the news link of this.
It
that
is.
correct?
It is. That goes to a Kenyan television news program that
Okay.
that covered this story. So for those who are able to, there's a YouTube link there. You can find it online if you do a search. Maybe you can scan your screen, but there is coverage of this available online, so you can see for yourself the extent of the destruction and bulldozers in motion and that sort of thing. So it really hits hard when you see it happening live.
Sure. Those of you listening on the mobile apps, WWDBTV for your Android, WWDBTV LV for your iPhones. Obviously, you can't see what we're talking about. However, go to our Facebook page, YouTube, and in about 72 hours, go to the WWDBTV Roku channel, and you'll be able to find this episode there. And as this QR code then comes up on the replay, folks should be able to click on it to get the news story. All right, go to the next page, please. Okay, and this is another news story. Is that correct?
This is one from the print media from a local newspaper there in Kenya, but same story. Yeah.
So I'm just reading the caption that's underneath that. The courts ruled in favor of the concrete company, and the government allowed the demolition to proceed. You don't have to answer this in any way, shape, or form, but the conspiracy skepticism person on this end of the microphone says, if the government allowed this to happen, I'm wondering if there was a connection between the concrete company and government in some way to allow this to happen. I won't go any further. Grace, you don't have to comment, but that's just the first question that comes to mind. Crawford, I see you kind of smiling on my comment.
I mean, you could very well be onto something. I don't know about the politics in Kenya, but
Right.
I mean, it's just unconscionable that a government would allow this to happen and leave people just literally homeless on the street.
Yeah, as I make that comment, let me just say this. The thoughts and opinions expressed by the host of the show are his only and do not reflect those of WWDB-TV, John Crawford, Kiwanis International, or our dear guest, Grace. It's just mine and mine alone. I'll take accountability. And John Styles here. Okay. All right. I have to do this. I have to go to the next page. So let's roll it. This is the picture that I think really sends chills up and down one spine when you see this, because Grace, I'll let people know what they're seeing if you want to share your emotions after that, but that is Grace in that picture, and she literally is standing where her house was less than 24 hours before this picture was taken. I have to ask, it's one thing your emotions when you're told this is going to happen, but now here you are, you go back to where your house once stood. I have to ask, God, I hate to do it, but what was your emotions? What was going through your head at this point when you walked back to what was once your house?
Well, when I was told to evict my items, I did. And I said, I'll never go back there because I didn't know, or I couldn't picture myself see the house go down. So I went away before the house went down. But after 2 days, I was told by people who knew my house that, oh, the house was brought down. And my son said, you see, Mama, let's go. I need to go and see how our house, or rather how the whole place looks like. And one morning I was going to find a school where my son could sit for an exam. I passed by there. At that point, I'll say I made a prayer in the car. I said, God, give me the strength to face this. So I got there, and I found a young man there trying to get those the remaining window grills and the doors that could be rescued. They use them to go and sell them as second hand, and then they can get a little money from that. So I saw him there, and I said hi, and he said, hi, you must be the owner. And I said yes, and said, I'm really sorry. And yeah, it hasn't just happened to you. You can see it has happened to everyone else. And that statement got me feeling elated. So I shed a tear. I sobbed. My son cried. We cried together. But what else could we do?
How big was your house? I'm just curious.
It was a mansionette that had 3 bedrooms upstairs and 3 bedrooms down.
Wow. Jeez.
Aaron, we see pictures of destruction and devastation
John, go to the next
anytime
page.
anytime there's a hurricane, anytime
Yep.
there's a tornado or a flood, and we get almost desensitized to it.
Yep.
The sickening thing here is that this is entirely preventable. This is man-made. This was a decision that somebody made to bring these houses down. This was not a hurricane or a tornado. This was not something that was unpreventable. This was done intentionally.
Right.
Somebody decided to do this to Grace.
For the money.
That was JPEG in the background, by the way. All right, so this is who's this in the picture? Is this your son in this picture?
Yeah, that's my son.
Okay, and obviously that's another angle of where your house was. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, John, next slide, please. But then all is not lost. Oh, did I miss that slide? Where's that slide? Oh, there it is. All right, scroll past this one. Let's get past this one. Let's go to the next one. And then the grace of Grace, smiling, moving forward. Well, I don't know how long ago this picture is, but Grace is full of grace. Go to the next one. And of course, as we've already talked about, she's a Kiwani and all dressed in our Kiwanis blue colors. So she's bought in. She has drank she's one of us. She drank the Kool-Aid. All right, go to next slide. So we're going to start showing some of these other slides in terms of some of the events and things that your club has done. A little bit. Let's go to the next one. I'm trying to just gather my thoughts here as I'm looking at this stuff. Talk about what's going on in this picture. Let's talk some good stuff here. What are you doing here?
Oh, yeah, there I was with the past president, Burt West and Daniel, and we were singing that song of if you're happy and turn around, something like that. And we're just having fun with the kids. This was a medical camp, one of the medical camps, rather I would say medical clinics that the Kiwanis Club of Kajiado has been providing to the community.
Wow.
So when the president visited us, we thought it was fine to take him to the ground so that he can see exactly what we have been doing as a club. And we took him to this school in the most interior part of the nation, and there we had our members who are a team of doctors giving free medical checkup to these children. So we arrived a bit late with the president, and we found the kids already checked up. They had lunch, which was provided by the club, and now we were just taking photos and singing and having all fun.
I had a question I was going to ask, and it just skipped my mind. Crawford, do you have a question or comment you want to jump in there with?
No, I would just say let's go on to the next slide because you can see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just giving. Oh, look at that guy in a cowboy hat. We know him.
Yeah. So this is Grace with past international presidents, Daniel Vigneron and Burt West, and I know when people tend to ask for money, the first thing you ask, is this a legitimate cause? Is this something that is real? Is my money going to go to the people who need it most? And here you have, this is 2 past Kiwanis international presidents in Kenya visiting with Grace. So this is for real, that when Grace says she is part of Kiwanis, here it is. Here's your evidence.
Yeah, it's funny because I met Burt for the first time at our convention earlier this year. But like you said, for him to go overseas, to go there, whatever his visit was about, to then meet up to this. Okay, John, you have a comment?
There's the hat. There's the famous
right.
Burt West hat. Go back one. There's Grace with the famous Burt West hat. So there you have it.
We see I'm in good company because I got to wear that because I sold my shirt off my back at convention, and we got Burt to wear that. And now I feel honored. Actually, I feel honored that I shared a hat with Grace here. Are you kidding? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we shared the same hat.
Yeah. I think that's the only hat he probably owns. That
hat has been around the world. Yes.
You know what? He should have had everybody sign it. Wherever he stopped, he should have had everybody sign it. So this looks like a formal luncheon with Burt and some other dignitaries.
Oh yeah. Now I organized this. I thought it was good for the president not just to meet the My Club members, but to meet all the clubs that exist in Kenya and in Uganda, because Uganda is just here. They are our neighbors. So I called all the Kiwanis clubs in Kenya and those in Uganda, and we assembled in a hotel in Nairobi, that is in the capital city of Kenya, and we had a meeting where all the members raised their concerns, questions, and their experience with Kiwanis. And the president was really happy to meet all the clubs in Kenya and Uganda. So this
Sure.
is where we were. We had a good meeting there, and of course, we shared lunch together.
Crawford, if I'm not mistaken, after our convention in August, I remember him talking about leaving for Africa. This must have been that same trip, yeah?
I assume, but
Well,
I,
Grace, when was he out there? Was he out
Sorry?
there? When was International President Burt out there late August or something?
Yeah, September
Right.
this year.
So yeah, because he was at our district convention in middle of August, he commented that in a couple of weeks he was leaving for a trip to Africa. Now we see the proof that he didn't lie to his wife. But anyway, just kidding. Sorry, Bert. Anyway, go ahead. Next slide, please. We can scroll through these next couple. It's all around the events. And again, the key thing
Well,
here. Go, Crawford.
let's go back one, because I
Yep.
think there was something very key on that last slide.
There you go.
Yeah, Grace is a tremendous ambassador for Kiwanis, not just in Kenya, but in other English-speaking nations of Africa. After we started the fundraiser for her, which we'll talk about in a bit,
Yep.
we're doing a fundraiser for her. I got a message from Aliga Ismail Isa from the country of Uganda, who is another Kiwanian, and he said to me, we know Grace, we love her, we respect her, she is our friend. Thank you for putting this together for her. So Grace has been living with her family in a medical clinic that she founded just a few months ago, correct? I mean, when did the medical clinic open, please, Grace?
Oh yeah, I started the clinic early this year, around it was March
March of this year,
this year.
and now she's using it as a home. This is where she's living.
Yeah, actually, the idea of starting the clinic was from the many medical clinic that we have been offering the community as the Kiwanians. So during my one of those projects that we do, I saw the need for my community to have more healthcare services, and I said probably I could start one clinic that will benefit the community, because the government hasn't offered as many healthcare facilities as we need here in Kenya. So I featured in one of the national television here in Kenya, and I was interviewed about what we do as Kiwanians. And the last thing they asked me is, what permanent solution do you have towards the healthcare? Rather, I'll say healthcare insufficient we have in Kenya. And I said, with my team, we could start a healthcare clinic, and that's what I did. That was the motive behind starting the clinic that I started, so that one day we have a member of the community who needs healthcare services and they're not able to access it because they don't have the money to pay for the bills or such, and they can come to us and probably we'll understand and give them at a better or lower prices.
So those who are looking at the show right now, we're seeing her sitting with about 5 students and children, and still do the wording on the caption on that picture says, Grace continues to promote Kiwanis wherever she goes, ... Go to the next slide, please. Even though she doesn't even have a home to return to. If that's not true Kiwanis in nature, I don't know what is. So Crawford, I know for most people, it's not comfortable for a person in need to be the one to always talk about what they need and what kind of support they need. So at this point, I'm going to have Crawford, go to the next slide, John, please. Talk about what's going on, what we could do to help Grace.
So fortunately, one of the good things about this is that the cost of housing, the cost of materials in Kenya is not nearly what it is here in America. I mean, if we lost our home, my home in San Diego in California, we'd be out on the streets with no solution, because there's no recovering from that sort of thing. Here in Kenya, Grace has a plot of land that she can build on, and she says that she can build a home, a livable home for her family, for just over $5,000, for the materials, for the building supplies. $5,000 US. Yes, okay. I don't know what that is in Kenya, but $5,000 isn't that much, and that's what I'm thinking. We have a whole world of Kiwanis out there that should be able to contribute to this. I mean, I've had in just the short time that we've launched the GoFundMe campaign for this, we're already 1/10 of the way toward our goal. We've raised about $500 out of the 5,000 or 5,500 that we need. So we're looking for individual Kiwanis members who are willing to contribute out of their pocket, whether it's $10, $20, $50, or $100. Somebody did donate $100. Or better yet, if we have entire Kiwanis clubs that are willing to pass the hat at a meeting, or I know we have clubs out there that are looking for some way to spend their community service funds this year. There are clubs out there that have money and they don't know what to do with it. So here we have a real way to help a fellow Kiwanian to get Grace back on her feet, back into a house, her kids back in school, and allow her to continue the work that she's been doing in East Africa to build Kiwanis in that area. And I will tell you, Aaron and Grace, that I've been fortunate to go to the last 3 Kiwanis International conventions. And at each one of those conventions, there was a delegation there from the country of Nepal. And 10 or 15 years ago, you never would have expected Nepal, of all places, to be a hotbed of Kiwanis. But right now, it's about the hottest place in the world for growing Kiwanis. They're expanding out of Nepal and into India. And to see that, and to see them continuing to grow and build districts and build clubs and go to our conventions, it's been very inspiring. Maybe Kenya and East Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, maybe that's the next hotbed for new Kiwanis growth. We don't know. Maybe.
Absolutely. So, Grace, I want to be clear for my audience that this fundraiser, although obviously we want you to continue doing the Kiwanis work, but the fundraiser is specific for your needs to get your family back on your feet and build your new home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So while you were talking, Crawford, John here in the studio, who has learned to be very stealthy in his old age, I wish I had a teletype sound, because he handed me a note. Usually his notes that he passes me are not things I could usually share on the air. However, in my hot little hand, he said, I know you can't see it, it says a $100 donation will be coming from WWDBTV, and I will match that very easily. So, and that's coming from my business, The Voice. So that's $200. Now we have about 15 minutes left. Okay, 15 minutes. Maria put up, Marissa put in the chat room the link to the GoFundMe account that anybody watching can do this. I want to, in 15 minutes, John, what can we give away that we could get people? John, what do you have in San Diego out there, Mr. Crawford, that we can use for, if we get $25 donations, if we can hit $500 before we get off the air, that's only another $300. I don't care if it's 650s, 300s, 1-300. I don't care if it's 30 10s. All we need is $300 before we get off the air, Crawford.
I will tell you, my wife has a large wine rack here, a lot of which she's not using. So I'm gonna, on behalf of my wife, we're gonna go ahead and donate a bottle of wine.
Okay, so we're gonna donate that bottle of wine to. We got to give it some level here. All right, we're gonna dwell on that. We're gonna step aside for a quick. Gotcha. Thank you.
Kicks in $100, we'll donate the 30-second.
There you go. So anybody who donates $100 right now before we go off the air, you have to put it into the chat room that you're doing it, put it into GoFundMe. So we're talking about a commercial for Kiwanis, like you saw John's Club and Folsom. Those commercials can range any
business they want.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'm building value, John.
Okay, build some value, dude.
The commercials cost
Let's get the money for
between
her.
$200 and $300. Okay. For every $100 donation, be it personal or business, you will receive a 30-second commercial on behalf of myself, WWDB-TV. That's our contribution. And the person who donates the most in the next 15 minutes will get that bottle of wine for Mr. Crawford. How's that sound? Can we do it?
That'll
Come on,
work.
folks. Come on. We can do this. Call up your friends. Call up your enemies. Call up your friends' enemies. Let's do this. $300 is all we're asking for in the next 15 minutes. While you're all dialing and clicking and everything else, we're going to step aside for our last break of the show so we can just keep tugging at your heartstrings for 15 more minutes and get that in so we can help Grace. Don't go anywhere. Kiwanis Connects. We'll be right back.
Aloha. I am so glad to be able to invite you to Kiwanis Connects on WWDBTV because we have some fascinating shows going on. And so join us on Fridays at 9 a.m. And if you can't join us then, look at all the different links of where you can find us to see the different amazing shows that I do with Aaron and all the crew at WWDBTV.com.
Thank you, Governor Val, for that great message. Good morning, everybody. I'm Aaron Phillips, co-host of Kiwanis Connects with Governor Val, and this message is for all of you great lieutenant governors here in the Cal Neva District. As a reminder, we created a Kiwanis commercial that is dedicated to the clubs here in the Cal Neva District. You've seen it talked about, you've seen it on the show, and on the heels of a recent episode where we talked about branding, a commercial we think is a pretty good tool for you all to have. Now, I want to remind everybody, and there are two options that you can take advantage of. Number one, you could take the existing commercial and simply brand it with your club's information at the end of the message. That's $75 to make that edit. Real simple, and contributions do go to Governor Val Direct to maintain the popular Kiwanis Connect show. Now, if you'd like something a little more detailed and customized with your club specific and pictures and everything that's going on, well, we can do that too. There's three options there. For a 30-second commercial, it's $200. 60-second commercial is $250. And if you'd like 90 seconds to deliver the message, that's only $300. All the work is done here at Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Studios with your support. And reach out to me and I can give you all that information. Email me at KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. That's KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. Thank you, Lieutenant Governors. We appreciate your time and effort.
To
whom?
I just put in the chat room for everybody who may just be joining us what we talked about. We only want $300 more on top of the $200 that John here at the studio, myself, are donating. And for every $100, look, we can exceed $300 more. We could hit $1,000 as far as I'm concerned. For every $100 donation, you will receive a 30-second commercial for any business, Kiwanis person, whatever you want to do. You want to just get on and talk for 30 seconds? Oh, we lost Grace. No. Oh, she's back. She'll be back. No. We got her back, hopefully. And then for one person to donate $300, you will get a bottle of wine from the John Crawford Winery as a thank you. I don't know if that exists or not, but it sounded good.
From the personal collection of Valerie Crawford.
Oh, all right, so let's make it happen. Let's do this for her. Last time I did this, I offered $50 a question. We did this for Frank Pizarro. If you can't do that, but you have a question for Grace, for every question that pops in there, I will donate $50 for every question in the next 10 minutes. But it has to be a legitimate question. Don't ask like her shoe size or anything. That ain't going to fly. For every question that comes in between now and the top of the hour, I will donate $50 per question on top of the 100 I'm already putting out there. So let's do this. All right, let's go back to the slideshow. Let's go to the next to last slide, which I believe is number 26, which is one more. There you go. So who's this with you in the picture on the left, Grace?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm having poor connection.
We hear you.
Okay, it's raining a lot here. So the lady I'm handing over, those are the Kiwanis bylaws. I was handing them over to the secretary of a new Kiwanis club I had started in a town called Kakamega. So that's a Kiwanis club of Kakamega secretary. I was handing them the bylaws.
Gotcha. While you were talking, Maritza Chevelle put in the chat room that she's going to donate $100 as well. So that's another $100 from Maritza. And Joe Schwartz, I don't know if I should really accept her question. That's kind of like insider trading with her, but I'll do it anyway for the extra $50. She asks, how many clubs are there in Kenya?
We have 4 clubs, 4 chartered clubs in Kenya, and then we have 3 upcoming clubs already.
Wow.
Joe is loading the piggy bank on me here. She's saying, what are you doing for the Ugandan clubs?
One question per customer.
Yeah, one question per customer, but I'll put in another 50 because it's for Grace.
Yeah.
So what are you doing for the Uganda clubs?
Yeah, before I was installed as the Lieutenant Governor for Division Kenya, I was the coordinator. I am the coordinator for the Africa, working with Daniel. So I continue with the work of the coordinator to ensure that we open as many clubs as possible, not only in Uganda or in Kenya, but in Africa. So for Uganda, I am planning to visit Uganda very soon so that I can bring all the clubs together. We have so many clubs in Uganda that have been charter revoked. So I want to sit down with them and we understand where the problem is. But mainly the problem is the payment of the dues. We have that as a problem in Africa. But I get to understand what happened and we see how we can resolve the issues and we have the clubs back.
Gotcha. So we are right now, 1, 2, 3. We are $100 away from our $500 goal in the next 7 minutes. All we need is another $100. Okay, so Maritza, she donated $100 out of her own pocket. She gets a commercial for anything she wants. Joe Schwartz, you asked 2 questions. I'm ponying up another $100, but you ain't getting a commercial because I'm paying for it. Well, maybe we'll do it anyway because I like you that much as a governor, past governor. So we need $100 more in the next 7 minutes. Let's go. Let's do this.
Now,
Come
the
on.
overall goal, we want to hit this. This is an ongoing campaign. We'll keep it going as long as is needed. But we're actually targeting $5,500 for
Yep.
Grace to rebuild her home, to get her kids back into school with school supplies. She says $5,500 would be enough to get all of that done. I personally would like to overshoot that because Grace has put in so much work into Kiwanis in East Africa. I would like nothing further than to overshoot our target enough that we can actually send Grace on a plane, put her on a plane out to Denver, Colorado, and next year's Kiwanis International Convention, because I, for one, would love to meet Grace in person.
Absolutely. I would love that. I think that's great. So what we're just trying to do here, folks, is I'm just trying to take advantage of my platform. Now, after we go off the air, and the show's going to be up on YouTube, Facebook, and Roku, those of you watching on the replay, please feel free to donate as well. I mean, we have the codes up there. We have everything in the chat room. What's it listed under, Crawford, on GoFundMe? Can you give us a title?
The name of the project is called Housing for Grace, Kiwanis for Kenya. Housing for Grace, Kiwanis for Kenya.
Thank you.
And I will mention to any club presidents that are watching out there, to any lieutenant governors, I will make myself available. I will send you the PowerPoint if you want to present it for yourself, or if I need to go to your DCM, if I need to go to your club meeting, if I'm available, I will make this presentation in person to your club members. I'm happy to do that.
Excellent. Grace, I know for you it's 10 o'clock at night, or about 10 o'clock at night, and you're probably getting ready to crash for the evening. So what I'd like to do is you have the floor for the next couple of minutes. If there's anything you want to share, talk about, whatever you want to, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Aaron, and many thanks to you, John. I don't know how much to thank you, especially for even thinking about my kids and also thinking about the other kids in the community. As a community leader, I'm thinking about how to, put myself together and come back to, to the normal living. But again, I have people around who are also affected and they're looking up to me, and seeing those kids out there, I would also want to do something for the kids. I may not give them a permanent solution, but, just to cheer them up before Christmas or during Christmas. So I just want to say thank you to you all and to this platform, Kiwanis Connect, for having me, and to all the Kiwanians across the world who are willing to, to donate and make me, get where I want to be. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. So many regards from my Kiwanis Club members. They said I passed their regards, and I hope you receive that. So something I really like to talk about is about the many clubs we are opening here. Allow me to wipe my eyes a little. That was emotional.
It's okay. While you dab your eyes, a dear friend of mine from New Jersey, Steve Nagel, I've known him for probably well over 30 years, Kiwanian. He put in there, he has a friend, he's a member of one of his clubs, works for a company called JetBlue Airlines. He'll check with him to see what they can do to assist with travel arrangements for, I have goosebumps, for Grace. We theoretically potentially have airlines involved. Although I also just nagged my buddy to give me the last $100 we need before we go off the air. But between you and Dean Connor, pony up $50 each. Come on, dude. Anyway, go ahead, Grace. It's all yours. I'm trying. I'm still tugging. Go ahead, Grace.
Yeah, so I was talking about my new role as the Lieutenant Governor. It comes with a lot of roles and expectations, especially from other leaders, the presidents, and having been the first Lieutenant Governor. So a lot of Kiwanians across Africa are looking up to me, and it's really a task to open clubs in Africa because of the payment of dues, and most especially the first registration fee where we have to pay for the charter. So I'm calling all the Kiwanians across the world, those clubs that would wish to sponsor clubs, especially the first year for them to get the charter. We have many people willing to start these Kiwanis clubs, but they are not able to pay the first registration fee so they can get the charter. Once they sponsor them and they get the charter, I will see them and I will educate them on how to pay now the annual fee. But if we get someone who can help them start, that I would really appreciate, because it will make my work easier as a Lieutenant Governor.
Grace, I've been in the Kiwanis family now for 32
years.
So,
yeah, that's what I can say about Kiwanis. Yeah, Kiwanis' role as a Lieutenant Governor, and I am so grateful for having me here.
Thank you, Grace. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was going to say, Grace, I've been in the Kiwanis family for 32 years now, and if there's one thing that I've found to be true, is that Kiwanians help other Kiwanians. It's what we do. It's who we are. It's what we're all about. So, when we see a need, we act for it. We want to. This is a situation where we can take a bad situation and make it better. We can have a real impact here. And so, to the other Kiwanis members who are watching, even if you're not a part of Kiwanis, we know that Grace is a good person. She didn't ask to find herself in this situation. It's something that happened to her, and here we have an opportunity to really get her and her children back on their feet, back into a comfortable living situation, so she can continue doing the work that she is passionate about at the medical facility, with Kiwanis in Kenya and throughout East Africa. This is an opportunity for us to really come together and make a difference, to help out a Kiwanian who's in need.
So my buddy Steve messages me. He says, next time he comes out here, if my wife will cook him dinner, he'll pony up $50. And of course I told him sold. So I'm at $450 with like a minute to go. And I asked him to pony up and cover for our other friend, Dean Connor, for the other $50 before we go off the air. But Grace, I'm going to send you on your way so you can hit the sack and rest up. And I would dare say that your story, not only because you're a Kiwanian, but obviously because you're a human being and nobody should have this happen to them. Nobody will, how do I want to say this? You've touched I'm going to say you touched a lot of people with your story for the wrong reason, unfortunately, but for the right reasons, that you want to continue doing what you're doing. And the Kiwanis International family will be there to support you to the best of our ability.
Yeah, okay. Just one more thing. I would love to send my shout out to all the clubs who have come aboard to support Kiwanis in Africa. We have several. We have the Kiwanis Club of the Faroe Island. I can't really pronounce the other name, but it's a Kiwanis Club in Faroe Island. And then we have the other partners who are supporting different clubs in Africa. I say thank you all, and we love you and we appreciate everything that you're doing for Africa. And shout out to the former president, Pat West. Thank you so much for visiting us here in Africa. You made us shine. You made us, he made people see us in a different way, and people understand that indeed we are doing what Kiwanians should be doing. That was humbling. I was honored to have him. And shout out to all my club members and all the clubs in Africa. And of course to you, John, and everyone who made this happen. So there's this one special person. His name is Captain Levis. Captain Levis is one who works in the Kenyan Air Force, and he really helped us host the president by providing security. So I want to send a shout out to him and the entire Kenya Air Force for that, that honor, that privilege.
Absolutely. All right. In the meantime, Steve Nagel has asked for the link and everything to pay, so that'll be coming in soon. All right. I've got to wrap up at this point. So keep sending those donations in. Like Crawford said, folks, this isn't just about now. This is about long-term. But in the span of 15 minutes, we've doubled what was already in the GoFundMe account. That's
right.
Not bad for 15 minutes.
We're at
minimum
10% 20% of the way there. You're right. You're right.
20% of the way is there. So we appreciate everybody for doing that. Grace, thank you very much. Keep reaching out to us. Keep us posted now that we're all connected. I'd love to provide updates periodically as we go. Quick programming note for everybody. Next Friday, yours truly will not be in studio. I will be back east visiting my daughter in Norfolk and my other daughter who's coming down from New York. However, Frank Pizarro, he is the founder of Firefighter Memorial Transport, will be sitting in for me with Governor Val next week at 11 a.m. Pacific. Next week will be the last time at this new hour. The following week, we go back to our standard 9 a.m. So please remember that and mark your calendars. Crawford, thanks for filling in. Grace, hugs to everybody there, to you and your family from the Kiwanis International world. We greatly appreciate it. And to all of you watching out there right now, there's no better time to appreciate my closing comments. Be kind to everybody. Why? We're all we have. Grace proves that. Hey, we'll see you next time right here on Kiwanis Connects. Thank you for watching, everybody.